Welcome to the channel, Farmer with Nick. Thanks so much for joining me here on a farm build tour today on the mod map Rolling Farmlands of Michigan. And I'm just leaving the store area right now that's behind me. And right across the road, I believe that is the starting farm. But I'm going to take you down, I'm going to show you where I placed my build here. And then I'll bring you back and give you a tour, kind of drive you around and show you everything that I did. Now this is built on an existing farm from the map maker. I was trying to find a cleared field, but in the end I really just liked the terrain of the area with the existing farm. It's similar, but it's like very, very different. So here we are, and I'm just going to back up a little bit for you. So first is this little house right here, and that's one of the NPCs up ahead of me here. So this house, I kind of built around it here. You could not take this out of the field here, so you couldn't purchase this land, but straight ahead is where I placed everything. So this is a very unique build. It is built on a real design of a real place with a unique kind of twist. And I'll just kind of pull up over here, and then I'll do a quick flyover, just going to show you the area here. Alright, so let's hop out of the side-by-side. So this is actually the area where I placed this build, and it really fit well. I was not intending on building it over an existing area, but it's just how the terrain kind of worked out, and it worked really, really nice. So if you are from Michigan and you have been up to northern Michigan in the Lower Peninsula, there's a very, very good chance on this map you're going to recognize what I built. So it is kind of south here, so south on the map, and it's in field 63. This is the one next to the NPC, so we'll buy that. And then most of it is right here in this existing farm, which was field 20, so we'll buy that. And then I did purchase field 49, and I built something right here, kind of off set of the neighbor's house. But in real life, it just fits perfectly. It fits like a glove. So if I just jump in the build mode, here's the house. I left my house next to this, so you'll see that here in a second. And then this little middle driveway, I wanted to leave that. I really like that characteristic from the map maker. And then I left the road coming down here. I replaced this barn with something else that you'll see in a second. And then it does loop down here, but then it also loops up and around this field and back up this way. So that's kind of my footprint, and the terrain of the real build that I'm modeling it after does kind of have this nice slope just like this, and the only thing that is in the way is this little house here. But you'll see, hopefully I kind of disguised it very nicely so it's not like so shocking when you see it here. But yeah, so that's the footprint I used, and I tried to like build it off, set or off to another set of fields, but I just kept coming back to here and utilizing this slope that the map builder put in. I think it's great. So, all right, without any further talking, all right, I'll take it from this view to this. So here is my farm here, and it is a dairy farm. However, like I said, there is a little bit of a twist kind of going on. But let's first kind of take a little drive around. I'll just do a quick little sweep and then we'll go into more of the details. So here is that same road, and you can see I placed that farmhouse kind of in the same spot, just a little bit off center now. And then you can see I have my main barns right there. And we'll come back to this. And you can see I have a little coop here, have our main bank barn here as well. And we're just utilizing the one side of the barn. And then I left that road, let's pull off to the side here, in the middle here from earlier. And there's some barns down there that you can see. Another cattle barn up front here. And then we have our first kind of pasture that is up here. And nice white picket fence, which is actually there in real life. The real farm does have white picket fence. And then here is that house that is in the middle, my neighbor here. Tried to hide it a little bit with some shrubbery and trees. And then just down the road here is our ice cream shop. And here is our storefront, parking lot, our little pole barn shed for placing things and probably storing some ice cream. And have a little parking lot off to the side around there. And then you can kind of loop into here, have a little sitting area and little play area, and that kind of, you know, tucks away from the neighbors. And then there is a drive that goes back around, and this drive is true to the real build, and I'll come back to the ice cream shop here in a second, but that is the twist. Now if you are from Michigan, as I'm kind of driving around this back little drive to the back pasture, you are probably, I mean, if you've been up north in any capacity, lower Michigan that is, you probably would recognize this place. I'm not going to say the name outright, just, you know, to not have any copyright things, but the layout and everything is very, very similar. And the layout, except for the neighbor's house in the middle, is very, very similar to how the farm is set up and how the ice cream shop is just right next to it that you can go visit, and then you can kind of overlook and look at the farm. It's really, really cool setup. So let's kind of drive around. So first I have our house here, and this is the house I used on one of my other recent builds. So just a nice little, you know, 2-story house. Then we have a small little garage here. We have some double doors here, and then one single door for our side-by-side. Now that comes up to our main milking barn here. And then we have our old silos here that are not really in use as much anymore. We have another little garage right here. And then if I kind of just get out, we have our little patio. We got a little sandbox, playset area, clothesline pole, little hangout spot here. And then if I back up here, so I have some of that concrete gravel texture here to start, but most of this is gravel. We have some odds and ends here next to the barn. We have our chicken coop right here, and that comes up to our main barn here on this little farm, just for storage and whatnot. But then right back up, you can have access into the barn this way, and then you can see our first little pasture right here straight ahead. And they also have a small little pasture, kind of slopes off just like this. And then I'll go over here. So this is that main little drive that you first saw from the main map maker. I wanted to leave this. I didn't want to change too much with that. I kind of liked it. And the real farm doesn't have this little drive, but it does have the middle drive. So there's a corn crib here, and this is another storage barn. Now for this build, I went and used another cattle barn pasture mod, but you know, this is a barn that they use to store things, but then I also used it as they do off of this barn. They have another little pen. So for this, I actually just placed I'm driving over the corn crib. I just placed a bowl in there to kind of simulate, well, that's where I just placed it in the bowl for now, so he's just all by himself. And then that loops around to this other pasture that kind of like encapsulates the whole barn pen here, as you can see. And I don't know why, but it did this on a couple other spots. This white fence, when building it, it just would glitch out there on that fence post. You'll see it in a couple other places too, but I don't know why, but it just did it kind of on some of the sloped areas on this build. So then coming down this way, there was that big red barn here, and now that is gone. And this is our other, probably our main milking parlor / barn. And then you have access into this pen here from the bottom. And then this drive goes all the way back up to the house. So you can just see it really fast. So it comes back up. You have your nice little shed there. A little slurry spot off of there at barn. And then this comes back down to our milking parlor. So we have our milk tanker right there, have a fuel tank next to this, a little buying station with seeds, and then we have a little hoop house here for bales, and just stored off to the end of the hill here. And then I kept most of like that drive kind of coming back down here, so it worked out nicely. I took out the silo, the grain silo that was here, and then just put in this little corral system, a little lean-to, open shed for the cattle back here. And then coming up here, you have another access point to get into the bottom part of this pasture. And you can see again, and I'd probably have to come in and fix the terrain, but it was kind of just doing it every time. So after a while, I was like, well, you kind of get the idea, but in other spots it was fine. So I don't know what that was about, if that's a thing with the fence. But then this is a real pasture, matches the real one perfectly, and it loops back up around that first barn up here. And yes, this is all white picket fence here. And then I kind of have mine stopping here right before the neighbor's property, and kind of filled this in with some trees in here, just kind of, you know, buffering it from the rest of the farm. So you really can't see it as much, but still, what a cool view. And then yes, this is a real drive that the company or the farm does have that loops back around to the actual ice cream shop. And then we are up here. So we have like a nice little sitting area that you can come eat your ice cream on the benches, little swing set, nice little sitting area here. And then I placed a nice little parking lot in here, kind of simulated that. And then you can see I have some cars I bought, and then a little fence. Now the real one, you would actually be able to sit out here and then see the farm just like in the distance, but with the house right there that you can't take away, that's what happened. And then I got a little sign here, made to you by one of the subscribers to the channel, thank you so much. And then that kind of loops around back here where there's another little, you know, drive for parking. This is where they store a lot of their other stuff around this little side shed here as well for the ice cream shop. So I am super excited that I was able to do this. I was suggested, and the whole reason why this kind of came up is I was kind of suggested by a subscriber to the channel. Once the Rolling Farm Hills of Michigan map actually came out, someone said, hey, you should put a build out on this map. That kind of seems like something that you would do. And I said thanks, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And then honestly, you know, life happens, you get busy, and then I finally got around to it, and then I was like, hey, this is pretty cool, and I think I could make this work and put a build out on it. So I'm really happy with how it all kind of turned out. And like I said, my idea wasn't really to build where an existing place was. However, you can see it's really been transformed. You know, from just one house, they had that red barn, the windmill, and then the silo at the bottom. That's what it was. So yeah, a lot different, but I'm really happy with everything. So let's jump in the build and go through everything. So just to kind of give you a rough layout, here is the entrance to the farm. Here is our main barn with the silos. We have a couple little garages off to the side that loops back around to our milking parlor. We have a couple different pastures for our cattle here, and another barn for our cattle, and then that loops to a back service drive all the way up to our little ice cream shop here. Kind of cool. So here are the buildings if you're interested in using them. So this is Farmhouse 2. This is out of a pack for farmhouses, but I've used it a lot of times. Nice little setup here, and I think there's a garage that you can use on it too. And then here is the classic one-car garage, a newer mod that has come out on the Mod Hub. And then have a bunch of little, like, just, you know, decorations around the house. Our other barn here is the garage with vehicle workshop. And this is out of a pack of, I think it's called wooden garages, if I'm not mistaken. So check that out. You can do different roofs, different siding colors. Really cool mod pack. And then I just have a multi-fruit silo here. Our main barn here is called Cow Barn. This is a PC barn only, so I'm sorry, console players, but this is from CM Modding. And then also this one, this bank barn, is from CM Modding as well. And I chose just to use the front part of this barn. And then if I just jump down really quick while I'm on it, this is the milking parlor from CM Modding. Now I know, and I know some of you that are playing on PC are like, well, you're not going to get any milk from this. I understand. You should be using, if I go to it, you should be attaching this freestall dairy building to it. So there's like little alleyways, and you can like connect this up to it. And honestly, yes, you could. I mean, there is enough room like over here. You could place that and kind of attach it to the milking parlor so the parlor would work, or just kind of place it here. You know, I think there's a little door. There's that door right there. So yeah, you could kind of reconfigure this. But for the sake of trying to recreate what the actual farm is, I did not put that in. But you could easily take out this tree, take out this little bale shed, and then you could place that there. So no worries, you could do that. And then attached here, I just put like a little, another open wooden garage from the wooden garage pack, just as a little lean-to for the cattle they can go into. I placed another one like that over here, as you can see, in this open pasture. And then this is a classic stable red barn that you can get. It's all platforms, and then same thing. The corn crib is all platforms as well. And then I kind of just left this as the base area. You could shorten this up if you wanted to or make it bigger, but they do have a pen inside the pen. So that's why I was like, well, I'll just use it for our bull cow in there, and then the rest of the pasture I'll leave open. So I didn't want to extend this anymore, but that's how it kind of is in the real one. And then just zipping over really quick, we have a garage with tool table mod, and I painted that red. And then we have our ice cream parlor right here. And this is out of like a productions pack that you can get, but it has a lot of different things on it, but it's really cool. So this is the one that I used. And then, like I said, I painted like the little lines here for our parking lot. Did a little bit of the texturing around the gravel roads. And then did a lot of little texturing around the animal pens, a lot of little decorations here, kind of looping around the whole farm. So there you go. A kind of minimalistic setup on the rolling farmlands of Michigan, but a really cool build. And like I said, if you've ever been up to northern Michigan and the Lower Peninsula, that is, and you look at this layout, I bet there are some of you that are looking at this and go, hey, I think that's this place. So you can let me know, and I'll let you know if you're right, but you might recognize it. So there you go. All right, so I'll just hop in the side-by-side and just do one little last drive around. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining me here on this little drive around of a farm build here. And if you're new, I'd love to have you tag along, join the Farming with Nick community, and kind of follow as kind of get back into making some more builds and get into some new playthroughs here for the spring and summer. And if you're returning, thank you so much for checking out this build, and I hope you like it. And hopefully I will make some other builds as we're getting some new maps here coming out on FS25. So thank you again for joining me here on the channel, and I hope to see you all on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Take care.